Hi students, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today in this video we are going to start and we are going to discuss the GCSE Chemistry Higher Tier Predicted Paper 2024, okay? That is going to held in June, okay? So now we are going to start it. Like here you can see the first question, that is in 1911. Here the explanation is given. The Rutherford conducted an experiment in which alpha particles were fired at a thin sheet of a gold foil. The experiment led to the plum pudding model of the atoms being replaced by the nuclear model. Describe the difference between the plum pudding model and the nuclear model. So actually that's a 3 marks question. So it means that you have to at least write 3 points. Okay, the first point you have to write that in case of plum pudding, like it has a uniform positive charge throughout. Okay, and while in case of nuclear model, that contain a positive charge in the nucleus. Okay, now the next point you can write here that the plum pudding model has electrons embedded in sphere. Like plum pudding model has electrons embedded in the sphere. Okay, while the nuclear model has the electron where orbiting the nucleus. Okay, and the third point you can write here that the plum pudding model has mass uniformly distributed. Has mass uniformly distributed, while the nuclear model has the mass where like concentrated in the center. Okay, so that's the first question. Like you can say like in the plum pudding model the positive charge throughout, while in the nuclear model the positive charge present in the nucleus. In next point you have to write that in the plum pudding model that has the electrons embedded in the sphere, while in the nuclear model has the electron orbiting the nucleus. And the same case like in the differentiation between the two like models, you can write the first point for the first model that has a mass uniformly distributed, while the nuclear model has a mass concentrated in the center. Now the question number 2, explain how alpha particles scattering the experiment led to the acceptance of a nuclear model to the atom. So basically it's a 2 marks question. So now you have to like indicate at least the 2 points. The first one, that is like most alpha particles pass through, okay, like some deflected and like you can say that is the acceptance of nuclear model. That is the first point. And the second point, you have to write that the deflection, like you can say like deflected from the original path, like the deflection of the alpha particle like deflections of alpha particles suggested a small dense positively charged positively charged nucleus surrounded by most empty space. Okay, that is surrounded by most empty spaces. That is the answer of second question. Now we are going to see like the third one. Gold is a transition metal. Other examples of the transition metals are iron, nickel and cobalt. Give the two properties of transition metals. So as you know that transition metals has more than one oxidation states. Oxidation states, because you know just like Fe plus 2 and Fe positive 3. That is the first point. The second point, you can write here that these formed color complexes. Colored complexes. Okay. Now the next question. Fig 1 shows us a nanoparticle. Each side of a cube has a length of 30 nanometer. So you can see here, like calculate the volume. So you know that the volume is equal to length times height times base. So basically you have to multiply all of them. So it will give us 3 times 3 times 3, 27, and here we have 3 zeros, so it means that it will be 27,000, and here it will be nanometer cube. Okay, because you know that the volume, always remember, you have to remember that the volume is in cube. Now give an advantage of using nanoparticles compared with a large particle size. So you know that because that increase the surface area to volume ratio. That is the advantage. Increase the surface area to volume ratio. Okay. Now the next question. That phosphine is a highly toxic gas which is found in the atmosphere of Jupiter. It has a molecular formula of pH 3. Complete the fig. So it's basically easy. Like you can see here, phosphorus is at the center, and here we have like the hydrogens, and you know that each hydrogens are sharing one electron with the phosphorus to make like a covalent bonds, and while a lone pair that is present on the phosphorus. Okay, just like the nitrogen. So what type of bond that contain a phosphine? So that is covalent. And the next question, that draw a ring around the correct answer to complete the sentence. Like phosphine is a simple covalent bond, because you can see here is like the hydrogen and phosphorus covalent bonds forming, and phosphine has a low boiling point because it has what? The weak intermolecular forces, and it takes like a lot, a small or no amount. So it takes a small amount of energy to turn phosphine from a liquid into a gas. Now the next question, that there is some evidence suggested that the planet Neptune and the Uranus contain large amount of diamond. So here you can see the structures of like graphite and diamond that are represented. So you can see, explain why diamond is hard and why graphite is very soft. So you know that there is an alternate question about this, like in case of graphite, like why graphite conduct electricity? That is very important question. Although you know that the graphite contain like a covalent bond, but the graphite conduct electricity because you know that the presence of delocalization of electron, because graphite only make the 3 bonds instead of 4. So it means one electron that is present as a delocalized. Okay, so these electrons that will like conduct electricity, okay, that will help to conduct the electricity. So you can see the same type question, like you can see here in the diamond, like each electron, like each carbon is making the 4 bonds. So it means you can say that diamond, like each carbon atom making 4 bonds here in diamond, okay, and it will make a giant covalent macromolecule, and the strong covalent bond require the significant amount of energy to break, making diamond very hot. So it means that is you have to write at least the 3 points for the diamond, okay. And for the graphite you can write again, like instead of making 4 bonds, the graphite making the 3 covalent bonds, okay. And it means that here creating a layer that will form a hexagon structure. You can see here 6 carbons are arranged with each other, so it means that will make a hexagonal structure, but that structure is present in a layer form. So it means that the layers required a weak or a less amount of energy to break it, okay. So it means that these layers are held together by weak intermolecular forces, allowing them to slide over one another, okay. So it means that's why this structure result in a soft and slippery metal, okay. At least you need to write like 3 points each. Now the next one, HCl react with the magnesium in exothermic reaction. So equation is given. So plan a model to investigate how changing the concentration of HCl affect the highest temperature reached to the reaction mixture. So again you can see here, like the equation is given and you have to plan the model. So for this you can see here it is a 6 marks question. So first of all you have to measure the volume of HCl, okay, with a measuring cylinder, and then pour HCl into a suitable container, like for example in the polystyrene cup, okay. And then the next one you have to write the point that is about like measure the initial temperature of HCl, initial temperature of HCl, and then like with thermometer add a known mass of magnesium, add known mass of magnesium, and then measuring with the balance and stir it, okay. And now when the reaction starts, so you know that is the exothermic, because you can see here reaction of metal with the acid, it will make salt and hydrogen gas. So now you have to measure again the temperature, measure the temperature again, okay. So it means that repeat with the different concentration of HCl and repeat the whole investigation, okay. Use the same starting temperature, use the same volume of HCl acid, reach like on each time. So it means basically you have to like write these steps to complete this experiment, okay. Now the next one, that is magnesium chloride is a salt. Give the name of another, like you know that here when react, like give the name of another substances which would form here magnesium chloride when reacted with the HCl. Remember, magnesium chloride is a salt, so it means the chlorine come from the HCl. So it means you have option, like you can treat with magnesium, or you can treat with magnesium oxide, or you can treat with magnesium carbonate, or you can treat with like magnesium hydroxide. Okay, so to make magnesium chloride, and now magnesium chloride is an ionic substance. Describe what happens when magnesium atom react with the two chlorine atom. Answer in terms of electron. So you know that, for example, I'm just showing with the like equation. So Mg, that will lose the two electrons to get the positive 2 charge by losing the 2 electrons, and these 2 electrons are gained by each chlorine. I'm writing as a whole, like 2 chlorine atom that will gain the 2 electron to make chloride ions. Okay, and now at the end here Mg 2 positive plus 2 chloride ion, that will make MgCl2. And now you can see here state symbol are used in chemical equations to show the state of each substances in a reaction. Complete the table. So in this case, like you know that here the state symbol S, that is used for the solids. The liquid, that is L, the gas is represented with G, and aqueous is AQ. And the next question, table 2 shows the properties of subatomic particles. So proton, neutron, very small. So you know that the protons has positive 1, like you can say the mass is 1, neutron is 1, charge is plus 1, charge is 0, and location is in the nucleus, and neutron is also in the nucleus, while the very small mass, that is the electrons, and the charge is -1, and the location is in the shells. Now complete the sentence below. When Mendeleev designed his periodic table, he placed the elements with the similar properties in groups. Here you have to write groups. He also left gaps for what? The undiscovered undiscovered elements. Now the next one. Complete Fig 4 to show the electronic structure of fluoride ion. It's easy. Like you know that the 2 electrons are present in the inner shell, and while the 8 like you can see fluoride ion, so you can see here the fluoride ion, so it means 8 electrons are present in the outermost shell. Okay, the next one, copper has 2 stable isotopes, like copper 63, that the percentage is 69.15, copper 65, the relative abundance is 30.85, and calculate the relative atomic mass of copper. It is a very important question, and you have to remember how would you find the like relative atomic mass of any element. Okay, so first of all, remember that you have to take the percentage and multiply it by its atomic mass. So it means you can see here the first case is 69.15 times like 65%, so it means you have to convert into like decimal form, so it means 65% of 63. So basically you can write 65% of 63. First of all, I'm going to find the percentage. Like 69.15% is 0.695, 6915 times 63 plus here is 65 and 30.85, so it means basically 0.3085 times 65, and then you have to multiply it here. That gives us 43.6545 plus here you have to multiply it, is that is 20.0525. Okay, and now you have to add them. So that gives us 43 plus 20, it's 63, and you have to add the other values. So it's basically that is 63.7 because the answer in one decimal form. Okay, I hope so now that's clear. It's the same method to find like any element like the relative atomic masses. Okay, now question number 5. A student is investigating the reaction between H2SO4 and sodium hydroxide. You can see here 15.0 centimeter cube of H2SO4 reacting with 20.0 centimeter cube of 0. It means that here the concentration is also given of NaOH. So find the concentration of acid. It is a very easy question. So first of all, you can see here we have actually the volume in centimeter cubes. So first is you have to convert the volume into decimeter cube. I'm going to like convert the first like NaOH volume, that is 20. So 20 divided like 20 here. I'm going to do it. So first you have to like NaOH will be equal to like here the moles per decimeter cube, the concentration is given, and you have to okay, let me calculate the first the volume. So volume is equal to volume of NaOH, that is equal to 0.0200. okay, that is in decimeter cube, and the concentration that is equal to 0.250, that is in case of NaOH. And now you have to find the amount of substances, so you need to multiply each other. So amount of substance that is equal to 0.250 concentration times volume times 0.0200, so that is equal to 0.005. okay, so that is the mole. Okay, so because you know that N is equal to CV, you have to apply this formula. And the next one, that is you need to find their ratio. So you can see here the ratio is 2:1. So ratio is 2:1. So it means that you need to like 0.005 moles of NaOH reacts with the 0.0025 moles of H2SO4. okay, why? Because you can see here the molar ratio is 2:1. Alright, so now the concentration of acid will be equal to how much? Here it will be the concentration of acid will equal to like amount of substance divided by the volume. Again the volume should be in the decimeter cube. So 15 centimeter should be, the decimeter cube is 0.015, and here like the amount, the concentration of acid is equal to like N over V. So N will equal to 0.0025. Why? Because I took this one 0.005 as a half, because the ratio is 2:1, divided by the volume, that should be 0.015. Okay, and here the answer will be 0.167. Is that clear? Because you have to write the three significant fig, so that is equal to 0.167. And now, what is an acid? A substance which releases a hydrogen ion, or what? So you know that a substance which releases a hydrogen ion, that is the definition of acid. Now H2SO4 is a strong acid, ethanoic acid a weak acid. Explain how the strong acid is weak, like is different from a weak acid, because you know that like the strong acid is fully ionized. So I'm going to write here strong acid and weak acid. So weak acid is partially ionized, while the strong acid is fully ionized. Fully ionized means, for example, in this case H2SO4, that will ionize to make 2 hydrogens plus sulfate ions. So you can see here like the other species do not contain any hydrogen, okay, but in case of ethanoic acid, for example, I'm going to write CH3COOH. So when it ionizes, it will make CH3COO negative plus H positive. So you know that you can see here are some other hydrogens as well. So that is a partially ionized. That is the example of weak acid. Now calculate the percentage atom economy of the method of producing sodium sulfate. So here the atomic the atomic masses are also given. Now how would you find the percentage? So you know that first of all you can find the relative formula mass of Na2SO4, because over desired compound or the over desired product is sodium sulfate. Okay, so first of all you have to find Na2SO4, that is almost 142 grams per mole, that is the molecular mass. And now the next one, that is you have to find the total reacting mass. So first of all NaHCO3 and MgSO4, you have to calculate it. The molecular formulas are given, and you can easily find out the molecular masses by using these the relative atomic masses are given of each atom. So I think it's equal to 200, and all reactants that will equal to 256. Okay, and now you know that the percentage atom economy is the desired mass divided by the total mass of the reactants, and it is the percentage, so times by 100. So that is equal to 55.5%. And now calculate how much magnesium carbonate will be produced. It means that it's again a stoichiometric calculation. So basically here 30 grams of sodium sulfate. So basically sodium sulfate molar mass is 142. So it means first of all you have to find moles. So N is equal to mass divided by the molar mass. So that is equal to, mass is 30 divided by the molar mass is 142, that is equal to 0.2113, and then you have to find the mass of magnesium carbonate that is produced. It means the molar ratio of magnesium carbonate, that is also equal, you can see here. So you can easily multiply with each other. So it's basically N is equal to the mass of MgCO3, that is equal to 0.2113 times the molar mass, that is molar mass of MgCO3 is 84. So now multiplying with each other, so it will equal to 17.7 grams, that is the mass. Now next question, that is like hydrogen fuel are sometimes used to generate electricity. For the cause, give the Hopf equation of the electrode reactant in the hydrogen fuel cell. It's easy because you know that like at cathode, what will happen? H2 let me write it again. Okay, H2 that will give the 2 electrons to make 2 H positive ions, while at anode what will happen? Like 4 hydrogen ions reacting with oxygen gas to produce, in the presence of, by taking 4 electrons to make water molecules and 2 water molecules. Okay, so that is the equations you have to write. Next, give an advantage and disadvantage of using hydrogen fuel cell to power. So it means you know that the advantage is the clean energy source, like, and the water as a byproduct, and you can say that it is a higher energy density compared to the traditional batteries. While the disadvantage you can write that because you know that there is a limited hydrogen infrastructure. And the next one, you can say the production of hydrogen often relies on the energy intensive processes. Okay, and basically you can say the limitation is it reduces the overall efficiency. Okay, and now here draw a diagram of the cell, label the electrolyte and the 2 metal electrodes. So basically you already know how to make it, it's easy. So because already there is a lot of much time, so we have to move to the next one. Like ethanol is a fuel sometimes used in a vehicle, so the reaction between the combustion of ethanol is shown below. This is an exothermic reaction. And now draw the energy change diagram for the reaction. Okay, so reaction between the methanol and oxygen, so you know that like it is basically the exothermic. So you can say here are the reactants and the reaction profile, here is the product, and that is the activation energy. Okay, you have to indicate. And now that is the most important question in terms of the exam's point of view. The balance symbol of the equations for the reaction between methanol and oxygen is shown. So there is a like the data in the table also. You need to calculate the overall energy change for the reaction. So you can see here each the bond energy that is given. Okay, now how would you find it? So basically you can find the first one, that is the total energy absorbed. The total energy absorbed, that is like equal to you have to find each of them. Like you know that the total energy absorbed and the total energy is given out, and then you have to find the overall energy change basically. Okay, you have to use these like the energy changes. So basically the formula is the total energy absorbed is equal to, you have to find out, and then the total energy released, you have to find it, and then you have to find the overall energy change. Energy change will be absorbed minus release, that is equal to energy changed. Okay, next question. A student, okay, listen, if you have any query regarding question number 6.5, or if you didn't understand about it, so you can ask and you can like write the comment. I will explain it. Okay, now question number 7. A student is given 3 different metals, copper, zinc and iron. She is also given sulfate solution of those metals, copper sulfate, zinc sulfate and like iron sulfate. Describe a method the student could use to determine the order of the reactivity of these metals. So here basically you know that, like first of all, immerse each metal in different sulfate solutions. Okay, you have to write the method. So first point, you have to write that immerse each metal in different sulfate solutions, and then observe any sign of displacement reaction occur or not. Like you can identify from the color changes or the formation of solid precipitate. And the third point, you can write here that the compare the reaction to establish the order of reactivity, like which one reaction is fast, which one reaction is slow, or like that. And the next point, the last one, because it is a 4 marks question, you have to write that no reaction implies lower reactivity compared to the metals involved in the displacement reaction, because you know that when any metal that is like in the form of low reactivity, for example in case of you are doing the reaction with copper plus zinc sulfate, let's suppose the zinc is present in the low reactivity order, so that reaction will not complete. Okay, so there will be no color change, there will be no precipitate formation or anything else. And next one, sorry, here, like if the zinc, sorry, here, if the zinc is present at more higher reactivity, so copper will not able to displace the zinc. Okay, so zinc will strongly attach with sulfate. Okay, so it means there will be no reaction occur. Now the next question, like 7.2 is balance the equation, so it's easy. Like copper reacting with the carbon, so it will make carbon dioxide, so it means here is O2, it means you have to put 2 here, and it means here is also 2. Now explain why copper is reduced. So you know that here the copper gains the electron because of gaining the electrons. Okay, to make a copper metal. So here is again electrolysis question. A student investigate the electrolysis of different solution using graphite electrodes. Explain why the salt solution is able to conduct electricity. So you know that the salt solution is able to conduct electricity because of dissolved ions are free to move through the solution. Like dissolved ions are free to move, okay, in the salt solution. Next, so formation, the positive electrode that will be form oxygen gas, and the negative electrode that will form a copper metal. Okay, And next question, an aqueous solution of potassium chloride. So here the positive case, in case of positive electrode, so here it will make chlorine gas from the potassium chloride, while at the negative electrode, instead of potassium, so here it will make hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen gas. And now here is the next question, aluminum being extracted from the aluminum oxide using electrolysis. Explain why the carbon electrode needs to be continually replaced. Include a balanced symbol equations in your answer. So in this case you have to indicate that the copper react with the oxygen being produced, like carbon reacting with the oxygen, okay, being produced like carbon dioxide, so the electrodes disappear over time. And next one, give the Hopf equation of reduced aluminum ions. So it means like Al3 positive by gaining the 3 electrons, so it will make Al. Okay, now that is a very important question. Hydrazine is a flammable liquid. The formula is N2H4 and the equation is given like the synthesis of hydrazine. A chemist add 100 grams of NH3 and 400 grams of NH2Cl. Show that NH3 is the limiting reactant, because you know that the very important step is like in the stoichiometry calculation, you have to find the limiting reactant first. Alright, so in this case you have to find the moles of each substance. So first of all you have to take NH3, so NH3 is 100 grams, so mass is 100 divided by, in case of NH3, so 100 divided by the molar mass, that is 17, so that gives us 5.9 moles, while in case of NH2Cl, so here the mass is 400 divided by the molar mass. You can calculate it by using their atomic masses, so that is 51.5. So that is equal to 7.8 mole. So by comparing it, the molar ratio is the same, so it means that indicate that the NH3 has less mole or fewer mole as compared to NH2Cl. So that's why NH3 is the limiting reagent or limiting reactant. Now the chemist isolate 26 grams of hydrazine. Calculate the percentage yield of for this reaction. So it means here only you have experimental yield is given. Okay, the formula is like, always remember, the experimental yield is always less than theoretical yield. There are a lot of factors, so that's why the experimental yield is always like less than the theoretical yield. So that's why you need to find the percentage yield. That tells us that how much the reaction is successful, like how much the useful like the product we obtained, like 70%, 80%, 30%. So first of all, to find the percentage yield, you need to find the theoretical yield first. So it means already you know that limiting reactant is NH3, so you can take the NH3 here, like even you can use the same like moles, that is 5.9, because here I'm going to tell you one of the trick. Here is a reaction A plus B that forms C plus D, let's suppose. Okay, you need to find the mass. So like for example A is the limiting reactant. Okay, So first of all you need to find the moles of A, then you need to compare the molar ratio of A and C. Actually you need to find mass. Okay, so you need to find the molar ratio, like compare the molar ratio. If the molar ratio is same, so N1 is also equal to N2, like N2 is also equal to N1. And then you need to find the molar mass of like the C, any product, and then you need to use the molar mass and the moles to find the mass. Okay, so that is the 3-step processes. So same happening here. So first step is you have to use the SAM 5.9, or the exact is 5.7, and then like the molar ratio is same, so it means that there will be a same moles for hydrazine, so just multiplied with their molar mass, so that is 32.05. okay, so that gives us approximately 188.02. okay, so that is the theoretical yield. Now you can use this formula, experimental yield divided by theoretical yield times by 100. So here the experimental yield is only 26 divided by 288.02 times by 100, so that gives us only 13.82. okay, now the last question. Again, hydrazine is passed over the catalyst to release hydrogen gas in the following equation. The chemist put 20 grams of hydrazine onto the catalyst. It completely reacts. Calculate the total volume of the gas produced at room temperature and pressure. So here you need to find, like you can see, 20 grams of hydrazine, and first of all you can find the moles. So mole is equal to the mass divided by molar mass. We already find that molar mass is 32.05. let's suppose I'm going to take 32, so that is equal to 20 divided by 32, that is 0.6248. so these are the mole. Now the next step is you have to find the moles of gas produced, okay, like hydrogen gas. So the same one, its a molar ratio is the same, so the same moles that will be no, here will be not same, because the molar ratio is 1:2. the hydrogens are 2, so you need to multiply here with 2. So it means the hydrogen moles will equal to how much? Hydrogen's mole are 2 times 0.6248, so it will equal to 1.2496. and then it's a last step, that is you need to find the volume of N2 gas, because here calculate the total volume of the gas. So you have to find the volume of N2 gas is 0. Like the hydrazine gas, that is 0.6248 divided times by 24 decimeter cube. So volume of N2H4, sorry, N2, this one, nitrogen, the volume of N2, that is, because the molar ratio is same, so you need to take the same moles, that is the hydrazine mole 0.6248, so that is equal to 0.6248 times by 24, so that gives us 14.9952. that is for the N2. Now the volume of H2, that is equal to you have to use these moles 1.2496 and then times by 24. 1.2496 why we need to find the volume of N2, because you have to write the volume of the total gas, not only the volume of hydrogen gas. Okay, so that is equal to 29.9904, and now you need to add them. So here the first one is like 14.9952, that is the volume of N2, plus 29.9904, so the total will equal to like 45.0. okay, so that is the final volume of the gas. I hope so like this question is also clear. If you have any query or any question, so you can ask in that comment. Okay, wish you best of luck for the exam. Take care, we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.